Informa FanExpo has purchased Wizard World shows. I'm sure you guys have seen this in your feed today. I had heard some whisperings behind the scenes, but today officially I'll put it on the screen, was announced that Informa has purchased Wizard World shows. And I wanted to chat about that because I've been kind of waiting for this to go public because I have a lot of feels. So let me read the first paragraph to you guys in case you can't see it. Otherwise, it is in my Discord. It is floating around social media if you do want to find it. So it says, we're excited to announce that the Wizard World, Chicago, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Portland, St. Louis, and Cleveland will be joining the FanExpo family and be rebranded as FanExpo events in 2022. These events will be revitalized, revolutionized to bring you a brand new experience that you'll know and love. Very soon, we'll be together again to create fandoms, and we can't wait. So, I worked with Wizard World from 2017 to 2019. I did all of these shows and some of their others, and I did a couple of them for 2 years in a row. I also have a history of working with FanExpo. In the past, I have done their Dallas Fan Days and MegaCon Tampa, and this year I am doing FanExpo Dallas and one other show that I cannot announce just yet. So I have a relationship with both of these companies. For Wizard World, also beyond just touring with them as a cosplay guest for a number of years, I used to be the social media marketing specialist for Unified Esports Association, formerly Wichita Esports, and I helped facilitate that relationship. So I had a relationship with Wizard World, and then I worked with esports, and I got them involved, and that's why they had those gaming arenas at those shows that you saw. So I worked pretty in depth with Wizard World for some time, and I have a lot of feels about it. And I want to start by saying, I think it's super unprofessional to shit all over shows unless it's super deserved. So that's not what my intention is here. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this news and how I felt about it because this makes a lot of sense to me. And also with COVID, I was expecting the buyout of shows, we lost so many shows, all of that. So in 2019, I did Wizard World's Philadelphia show, and that's the last show I did with them. And part of it is for the reason I'm about to discuss. So the next paragraph, or a paragraph down, because it says, if you're not familiar with FanExpo, it is the largest Comic-Con producer in the world, which is true. Awesome shows. So what does this mean for you? In short, it means your fan experience is about to be supersized. These events will be a part of an even greater network of fans across North America. We'll be collaborating, and FanExpo HQ will be collaborating with us on a smooth transition and honor all prior commitments to fans and guests and whatnot. So, one of the reasons that I stopped working with Wizard World is because I didn't really feel good about the vibe and having myself attached to that anymore. And part of that was because of the things I was hearing from the communities across the country. So when these Wizard World shows first came into these cities, a lot of people were really pumped about it, right? Wizard World, just like FanExpo, sort of provides that San Diego Comic-Con experience. You have homegrown cons, and then you have commercialized cons. And there's something really exciting about those. You get to meet bigger guests. There's just more, right? It's a bigger experience. So a lot of these cities and these communities were really pumped, and I can only speak for the people in the communities I spoke with. But again, I feel like I was pretty plugged into what was going on in those areas for the most part. So they felt like at first they were pumped, and then after a while the shows stopped evolving. In fact, in some cases they would have less and less at each show, but the price wasn't changing, and the communities, including the cosplay community, felt sort of like it was becoming just like a money grab, and these shows didn't really care about the community or the other shows in the community. And I don't know if, I'm not gonna say that that's a fact that Wizard World was behind the scenes saying that, but that's certainly how the communities felt, and I felt that as well. I felt that from them. I certainly felt some of the passion was going away, right? Like commercial was taking over the passion. Whether that was or wasn't the intention. Something needed to change. That was clear. The last time I did Portland, it was pretty dead. St. Louis had a really low outcome from what they were expecting, and this was pre-COVID, so less of the community was showing up for shows, and just overall, there was an air of, people don't have as much respect for these shows and as much love for these shows as they once did. So I really think that FanExpo purchasing them was a great move. I don't know what spurred on this move. I don't know if they knew they needed to change something. I don't know if it's related to COVID and finances. I don't know any of those details, but I do think that FanExpo purchasing them really will, like they say, supersize them and breathe new life into them, revitalize them. And from my experience with FanExpo, and I don't have a super extensive experience with them so far. As I said, I did 2 shows in 2018, and I'm going to do some shows this year. But my experience with FanExpo so far has always been passion, drive, willingness to listen and hear the community and make sure that they're providing for the community. I'm pretty pumped to see them take over these shows and see what they do. I do think it is needed. I think that there's a big problem across the country, or pre-COVID there was, with a lot of shows that popped up and it wasn't for the community. They weren't trying to provide something for the community. It came off as a money grab, and that is how the community felt about it. And I sort of feel like the year of COVID, although it's awful that we did lose so many amazing shows, on the other hand, sort of the silver lining of it is that it sort of cleansed the convention and show community. But worth noting, and I don't know the reason for this, but I was through the grapevine kind of told that creators or cosplay guests who were associated with Wizard World shows were being like looked over for non-Wizard World shows. Like basically when cons were choosing guests to bring out and they saw an extensive amount of Wizard World on somebody's resume, they were choosing not to book those guests because they had concerns about those shows. And I don't know where that came from. I don't want to like speculate on that because you know, like some rumors just aren't real. Like maybe that wasn't really happening, but I was told that by people I trusted very much. And for my business, I was like, okay, well, it's time to pivot away from Wizard World. And I definitely want to be clear that Wizard World did a lot for me. Like I absolutely loved working with Wizard World. My concerns didn't come about until the communities in all these different cities started expressing to me concern about the shows and the you know, general vibe behind the shows and just how they felt about it, and how they felt they were being treated as a community. So I certainly don't want to discredit what Wizard World did for me. They took me all across the country. I was paid to do my work. I was respected as a cosplayer and a creator at their shows, and I had a really great time working with them when I did. Things didn't really start going awry until, like I said, the community started expressing concern. And I did hear that some of the last shows before COVID, and I don't know how accurate this is, hearsay, but that Wizard World started having like feedback panels at the end where they would ask the communities, like, as I know they used to do that and they stopped that. That's something I heard from the community was a concern, and apparently they started those again, so I hope that is true. Like I said, I wish the best for all show companies. What these companies provide for us as fans of the fandoms and for cosplay guests and working creators is huge, and that can't be understated. TLDR, I'm really excited to see this. I think it'll be great for Wizard World. It sounds like they're going to be working in tandem, so the Wizard World Vault will be participating in all FanExpo events. It sounds like they have a great working relationship with FanExpo. I just think this was a really great move on their side as a brand, and I'm hearing a lot of concerns about monopolizing in conventions, like, oh, well, now most conventions in the US will be like FanExpo or Informa owned, and that's just not true. A lot of the big ones will be for sure, but it's kind of always been that way. It's like ReedPop, Informa, Wizard World kind of ran some of the biggest shows, and if we want big shows and big guests, we sort of need these big corporate companies running them. It's very difficult for homegrown conventions to get to that level without being bought out or partnered with by some of these bigger companies that do have more money and more connections. And I don't think there's a concern of every convention in the US becoming a FanExpo show. I just don't think that's gonna happen. You have so many different corporate companies who, and just because they're corporate companies doesn't mean they don't care about the fans and community or show. I've done 2 shows with GalaxyCon now, and those are some of the greatest shows I have ever worked with. FanExpo was always incredible to me as someone who was working for them and to their community. In my experience, you may have had different experiences, and I would love to hear your experiences, because Comic-Con politics, the culture of conventions, really fascinates me. I love learning about it, the business, how communities feel about it, which is why I ask communities. Almost every show I go to, especially in a new area, as soon as I'm meeting the communities at my booth or my panels, I like to ask as many people as possible, like, what do you think about this show? What, you know, it tells me a lot about the shows as well. It tells me a lot about the people I'm working for and the brands I am working for and how they make the community feel, because community is key. Community is most important. Your show is only successful if you're fostering your community that is supporting that show. Wizard World at the end. So this post is on the Wizard World Instagram if you do want to see it also. I should have mentioned that earlier. But it says, finally, thank you for sticking with us through the highs and lows and for including us in your incredible fan communities. And I hope that, so I don't know, again, if there will be also Wizard World shows separate because they have more shows than they've just listed here, or if they pared down their shows and FanExpo has purchased all of them. I'm not entirely sure. I need to do a bit more research on that, and there's not a lot of info out there yet. I think this was a really great move on Wizard World's side. I think that they made the right choice for themselves and for the communities that support these shows, and I'm really excited to see what FanExpo does with these shows, and I'm excited to hopefully be a part of more of these shows, go back to some of these cities I loved. That's one thing Wizard World gave me, is the opportunity to see some absolutely incredible cities like Philadelphia, New Orleans, beautiful Portland. I got to go there twice, and I would go there a million times. My experience in St. Louis was that is kind of one of the shows where, and you know what, I didn't even express my concerns about that show to Wizard World, which is something I'm usually pretty good about. If I have concerns with the show, after the show, I will go and chat with my contact. I didn't do that for St. Louis, and I probably should have, because there was a lot of things that happened to that show that I felt like I was kind of put at risk. But I should have talked to them about it, because they aren't aware if I don't tell them. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to like chat about this a little bit and ask you guys what you think about this takeover by FanExpo. What is your experience with Wizard World? What is your experience with FanExpo and other shows? What do you think about Comic-Con or convention culture and politics? Do you think that shows have a responsibility towards community, or do you think that it's totally within their rights to just worry about the money and make their money? Do you think those things go hand in hand? I genuinely love discussing convention politics, and I would love to know what you guys think about it. So yeah, I just wanted to hop on real quick and just chat about this a little bit, because I have a lot of feels as always. So yeah, tell me, let's talk about it. I want to know.